I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise will continually be in my mouth. Thank you for tuning in to Joy in Our Town. My name is Tamika Whitaker, and I'm excited to be your host today. In studio with us, we have two amazing men who are doing great things in the community as well as in their church. So I want you to join me in welcoming Mr. James Miller and Mr. Kurt Moore. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited today because we're going to talk about something that's very important concerning our society and crime. And here's the thing. I found out during my research that where you all serve is the highest crime area in the city of Indianapolis.
Yes,
46218,
right.
is that
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
Wow. And so what that means is that you all have awesome responsibilities and opportunities to do great things in the community.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So you
Okay.
both are members of Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church
That's right.
under
yeah.
the leadership of the dynamic Pastor Darrell Webster.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And so what he's doing is he's doing what's called a boot camp.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So before we get into that, I want to talk about why or what do you see as some of the problems in your area?
As you mentioned earlier, the highest crime rate, that has a lot to do with the prevalence of addiction, underemployment, single parent homes, and a lot of the businesses that were in the area have moved out. The recidivism rate of people coming in from incarceration, coming back from incarceration, to just to name a few.
Wow. And so one of the things that you guys are doing is the food program.
Right. We have a outreach shelter at 3036 North Sherman, where every Friday from 9 to 11, I believe, we give out food for those who need.
Yeah.
Just recently, it became a food desert because of the closing of the AA stores within the city.
So there's been some closings, some stores in your area
Right.
that are causing some major issues. So why do you think that's having such a major impact when there's other stores that are around? Why those stores?
Well, those stores prominently served the inner city. They served the low incomes. They was in, most of them were situated primarily in the African American neighborhoods, the minority neighborhoods. And so when they closed, it just created a void where there was no immediate access for people who don't have cars, that use the bus line, that maybe just even walk to the store. So in the advent of those closing, it just created a desert where there was no immediate access within walking distance, particularly for the elderly or the handicapped within the city.
And I think also, as he said, a lot of jobs and a lot of companies that were in the area moved out. Well, with that, the AA stores providing employment for a lot of people in the local area. So that was another way of kind of pushing the poverty level higher, because you're removing jobs, you're removing access also to food and groceries and things of this nature as well.
Wow. Well, it takes a lot to be able to dedicate and commit that time to serve in those areas, even with the food pantry and so many wonderful things that you guys are doing. So I want you to share with the listening audience, why is it that you're so passionate about assisting?
Well, primarily it starts with boot camp. By the way, boot camp is an acronym: because of other testimonies, Christ answered my prayers.
Okay, say that again.
Because of other testimonies, Christ answered my prayer.
Wow.
And in order to give you a full picture, I had to be a little bit more transparent. As an African American growing up in that neighborhood, making bad choices, bad decisions, became addicted to drugs, been incarcerated. So when I came home, even though I know I wanted to do things different in my life, I didn't know where the venue would be at. And that's what boot camp provided. It was a place where men and women, not women, but men of all ages, from 7 to 8 years to 70 to 75 years old, would come together at 5:45 in the morning, and we would fellowship. And the passion was driven behind the pastor, because he had a passion for men, because his thought was, if we get the men to stand up to be who they need to be in the neighborhood, then the family would be better. If the family's better, then our communities are going to be better. But from a biblical standpoint, it all started with the man, because he was meant to be the head of the household. So when I came home, and I chose Emmanuel actually because that church was in walking distance. I knew I needed a church home. but be realistic. I had to find one that I could get to.
That's right.
But what kept me there was the passion that I saw in my pastor that he had for men. And then that boot camp allowed us to let down our guard. You know, as men in general, we have a tendency to hide behind a certain facade or a certain a mantra about this is who I am or what I am. But we had men that was willing to be honest and open about what they were struggling with, you know. And it was not just men that was struggling. We have doctors there, we have lawyers there, we have professionals there that was coming and was sharing about the trials and tribulations they was going through. What boot camp allowed for me and Kurt and others like us, it allowed us first to be transparent, and it allowed them to see the potential that we had in us. They nourished that potential to the point that I think later on we'll talk about what we're doing now as far as employment. But what it did was it instilled in us a sense of value of ourselves. I think that's what's missing in our inner city is men having value in themselves.
Wow, that's a great testimony. So as you are being the hands and feet of Christ and you're serving others, and you have the opportunity to see other young men who may have had some of the same challenges that you've had.
Right.
What do you see as some of the things that they are getting involved with when they don't have a place such as the boot camp?
Well, the same things that cause them to have problems in the first place. That would be crime in the area of addictions, just trying to put money in their pockets, them just having devaluing their own self, their own sense of worth. That's the most important thing in the beginning that boot camp was. It had us show value in ourselves because the pastor showed value in us. Right. And it's an important tool, an important place to be where you know that somebody has value in you. And then added with that was a holistic approach of a biblical understanding and how to take words from the Bible and apply it in the situation that's going on in our lives. We have many principles. One of them is life doesn't just happen for a man. He must be intentional. Every man needs another man to stand beside him. Every man needs another man to hold him accountable. And the list goes on and on. But what it did was instill in us a sense of value and a sense of worth. And me personally, it catapulted me to everything else that I'm doing in my life now.
Wow, and so actually you're a leader now.
Yeah, I'm one of the boot camp leaders. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure Pastor is so proud of you and what's going on. So Kurt, yes. I want to ask you, share with us about what is the boot camp and what are some of the things that the boot camp offers and provides for people?
Wow, the list goes on and it gets bigger every day. Boot camp, just as James said, I'm from the 46218 community, and I grew up in that community, and I can remember back when that community had jobs and grocery stores and where we had little league sports, and we had a lot of things where men were able to be either surrogate fathers for young boys that didn't have a father in the home, or there was a lot of fathers in the households and things of this nature. So now to transition to where we're at now, 30, 40 years later, where there's a lack of fathers in the house or just men in general in the households. So you have a lot of young men that don't know their place, that don't have value, as you say, and don't understand quite how important it is to have an education or what it means to be a man. So what boot camp does in the infinite stages is to give you that value, but it also teaches you how to be a man. How to be a man in general, but how to be a man in your household. If you are a father yourself or a husband or so forth, how to conduct yourselves in areas where you are outside of the household or the community. So this is what it did for me first and foremost. It kind of helped me as I came home from prison after serving 13 years. It helped my transition back to quote unquote the free world in teaching me how to conduct myself or how to be a man or how to conduct myself on job interviews, how to get a job. Boot camp has provided many jobs for many men, have linked up with other companies or corporations around the city in order to send these corporations or these companies boot camp men that they know that, okay, if I hire this gentleman, he'll be there every day. He'll be on time.
That's right.
Because his character has been changed through the boot camp, that he has more to lose than just this job if he doesn't do right. He has to lose a relationship with our pastor and with the boot camp, which is huge. It provides housing. It's giving a lot of young men that have come home from prison or young men that may be down on their luck opportunity to maybe link up with another boot camp member that has apartments available or has other addiction ministries available. Whatever this particular man needs in his life to help fill that void, to help him transition into the man that God wants him to be. This is what boot camp is. It's that missing link. And I think that in our community, as you said earlier, with the highest crime rate in our community, where there's so many things that are happening that are not so good as far as, you know, the food or the jobs or so forth, or even healthcare, or even ministries that can help people with addictions or whatever it may be. We need this boot camp. We need this boot camp to change the man, to change the mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like not only is there that major spiritual component, but he's really bringing in some practicality things there
Yes.
Exactly.
to help you
Exactly.
to, like you said, find a job, have a place to live, because oftentimes we do have the spiritual component that churches offer, which is Christ, the head of our lives.
Right.
But then when we go out the door, where am I going to lay my head? How am I going to eat? How am I
Right.
going to apply for that job? And so
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
totally amazing as what they're doing. How many men per year do you think this boot camp impacts?
Probably about, I know. all right,
Consistently, I would say every time we have an event, we have an average between 200 and 300.
Yeah.
But over the course of the last 11 years, we numbered in the thousands.
Yes.
We've had, and it's drawn attention as far as it being grassroots. We have Bob Woodson, who is the
head of a DC organization called the Neighborhood Enterprises.
Right.
We have Dr. Soares, which is the head and the founder of D-Free,
Right.
debt-free, delinquency-free, and deficit-free. We've had
Congress is-
Paul Ryan come in, the Speaker of the House, to come in and actually do a video or movie, so to speak, on our boot camp and all the things that we're doing in the community. We had people to come alongside them, like Deion Sanders and these guys that fly us down to Dallas, Texas, in which we were able to showcase our boot camp and showcase the men and transformation from the men from point A to point B. We've been in several different cities, from Vegas to Dallas, as I said, New Orleans, and so forth.
Wow. Well, I'm sure there's so much more information that we can tune into to hear more about, and hopefully you will be able to send someone or refer someone to that boot camp that you know may be in need. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to your pastor, and thank you for being with us today to witness this amazing miracle of the boot camp. Join in with us again on the next Joy in Our Town, but do us a favor and like us on WCLJ 42 on Facebook.